Hi, Michael from Kalani here. Today we're going to remove these awards and patch the wall and get it ready for new things. These are the tools you're going to need. First, we'll take these down. And this is just like if you had a few photos up on the wall and you want to change the photos around. Got to take them down, patch the wall, and set everything back up again. First we'll take out all the screws. This screw here, that's going straight into the steel stud. That's why there's no wall mate there. I'll show you what a wall mate is in a second. This screw is screwing into a wall mate. That allows you to screw the screw into a gyprock wall. And here we're going to take out the wall mate. We'll take the rest of the wall mates out. And that's done. So we'll grab our trowel, we'll push in any bits of the gyprock that are hanging out and just try to smooth the surface off as best we can before we fill the holes with the plaster. This is torn, this paper, so we'll just cut that torn part away. So we'll have a nice neat finish when we fill it up. So we've got the small crack filler. This one's just in a squeeze tube. I'll squeeze that out and start applying that to the hole. So we'll have to fill this over a couple applications. First put it on. So when I first wipe the trowel over, it leaves that big lumpy part. We want to smooth that off because the smoother we are on each stage, the easier it'll be to sand it later. So we just repeat that process for each hole. We want to push the putty into the hole, but we don't want it just to be on the surface. We want it to be in the hole. And see, I've got quite a wide trowel. Makes it nice and easy to push that along and smooth it off. Alright, well that's stage one complete. We filled all the holes, got them ready. Later on, we're going to have to come back and give them a sand, and then we'll reapply the plaster to give it a nice, smooth finish. Alright, thank you. We're now back on the wall repair, and as you can see, it's all dry, but it's slightly, there's a few pinholes, there's one here. This isn't exactly level, so we're going to give this a quick sand, and then we're going to top dress it for our final coat. Here we've got our sander. We're going to get this set up. We need a sander with a reasonably large sanding area, because we want to be able to sand and level this area. If you have a really small sanding block, like the little rubber blocks they sell, they're too flexible and you won't be able to get it nice and flat. So we've got our sander, we've got our sandpaper. These are 80 grit sanding sheets. These are medium coarse. So the higher the number, the finer the sanding paper is. So this is 80, it's quite rough. Later on when we do our final sand, we'll probably get some 240, but that's basically the amount of sand dots. The higher the number, there's more dots, so it's much smoother. Now we're ready to give it a sand. So right now there's a little raised section. We want to smooth that off and then prepare it for the next coat. Then we go back, we want to do our little top coat. In this case, we're going to want it to be a little bit raised, so then when we sand it, we can be smooth and finished. I'm just working to smooth off the any extra large lumps and bumps to make later on, when I sand it, just a bit easier. So I'm just working this onto the surface, a couple swipes one way, a couple swipes another way, and just repeating this process on the surface of each one of the holes. And if we don't get it all this time and it's just not right, we're going to need to come over for a third coat. And the last time we do it, we'll just put a little tiny coating on, just to get that perfect smooth finish. What I'm looking for here is the line's okay. The line I'm not worried about, I can sand that out. I don't want to see any bubbles in the patching material. Because those bubbles are much harder to sand out. That little line that's there, we'll sand that out super easy. But what I don't want are bubbles in the patch. Because if I see a bubble, then that means I definitely have to go over it again. So I want to reduce the amount of times I have to go over it to a minimum. Now we've got the last one, up a bit higher this time. That'll do for that one. Alright, now we've done our second coat. We need to wait until this dries. Here we are at the wall. The filler has now dried and it's time to sand it again. Get that final flush finish. So as you can see, it's all nice and hard. We're going to give it a quick sand. And that one's perfect. See on this one, there's a little line from the edge of the trowel, and here, we're just going to buff that off. Now that one's done. A little tiny bit here, I can feel it. Take that off, and that's beautiful. So I'm just feeling to see that it's nice and smooth with my hand. You really need to have your hand on this, not be wearing a glove when you're trying to do this part. Alright, and that's beautiful. So here, we sanded it, and now it's ready for painting. Thank you. Thank you for watching How To with Michael. If you like my video, give it a share, and give us a like.